All right, what's up, YouTube? I was going to talk about this, but it's just so funny because everybody's talking about Anthony Joshua and him bringing up the hustlers and all the like American drug dealers that he's been influenced by, and he's basically taking that hustlers mentality, I guess, to go to war with Usyk. I'm not gonna lie, and y'all know I'm a big AJ fan, right? But I thought it was really cringy when he said it, right? I thought it was really, really cringy when he said it. But at the same time, I thought he was joking at first, you know? Even as a joke, I thought it was cringy. But I went back and listened to it today because everybody on social media, I mean, somebody even sent me an email talking about it, right? I mean, I got a few comments when I made the video, but everybody seems to be talking about it on social media. And even as cringy as it was, I didn't think people would be talking about it at the rate that they're talking about it. And, my whole stance on that is, AJ saying he's influenced. Like, I don't think he's just been influenced by those type of dudes growing up. Like, I'm sure when he got into boxing, or maybe, I don't know if he was a boxing fan way before he started boxing or not, but I've heard him say, and even in this same interview, I heard him say like his idols are, his boxing idols. The people, he even made a comment, and there's some point in this interview, he made a comment saying like the people that he idolized growing up is telling him that he shouldn't be in a rematch with Usyk, being that the fighters, he kept expressing the fighters, the people that he grew up on watching, he's saying that it's crazy that those are the people that's telling me that I shouldn't rematch this guy. So of course he idolized other fighters growing up too, at least at some point. But the funny thing about like what AJ said and how everybody feels about it, AJ is no different from a lot of like young men that grow up like idolizing. I mean, you even got grown men that just idolize like these drug dealers, right? They watch all these shows like BMF is on. You watch Power. You like there's the made up shows, and there's ones that's based on a true stories like BMF right now. That's one that's on right now. That's on, Black Mafia Family and I mean, I'm familiar with all of that. I mean. Growing up in New York, everybody was always into, the Rich Porter story. His story was always a big story in Harlem, right? But people like always idolize them people. And the thing is, I see it if you grow up in these kind of environments where you didn't really have anyone to idolize. Like if you grew up in a time or you grew up in an environment where those were the idols in the streets, because you from the streets, you grow up in these neighborhoods where the drug dealer in the neighborhood that always came around with the girls and the cars and all of that stuff, and you were influenced by that. I can see how you can be influenced and inspired by that, like, and idolize these people, because if you're from that environment, you're not being idolized by the teachers or the people, the working people in your community, because those people might have to struggle if you're in their neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? If you're in that kind of neighborhood. But to hear from AJ, it does sound crazy, especially because he's not an American. And the thing is with Americans, a lot of Americans feel like their hoods is over everybody else's hoods. So when you hear a British guy with his accent speak like that and talk about the hustlers in America, people in America are looking at you like, you sound crazy saying that because you're not even from here. How can you idolize for him? But it's very easy to get influenced by those people because you hear it in the music, and pretty much all of the hip hop music that we make, you hear it all the time. So people from all over the world are easily influenced by hip hop music. And in hip hop music and now movies like Paid in Full, a movie that I love, is one of my favorite movies, New Jack City. All of these movies that are about selling drugs in your community, people get idolized. They idolize that if you don't have that kind of money. So I do find it strange that AJ said that, because he doesn't seem like the type of guy that would say something like that or might not really be influenced by that kind of thing. But at the same time, it's very normal for people to like and idolize those kind of people. You know, you have YouTube. Like, for example, let me give you a good example. I'm going to give you a few. But you got guys like, what's his channel's name? I can't remember his channel. Carcino used to be one of the biggest YouTube boxing channels, right? Right? He was well, experienced in the industry, and he stopped making boxing videos at some point. I remember he started making just hip hop beef videos and is talking about street stuff, and his viewership blew up. You know why? Because people are more influenced by the streets. And people don't have to understand, you don't have to actually be from the streets to be influenced by that kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? It could be entertaining for you. There's channels like on YouTube that like are like the Hassan Campbell's. Like, I watch some of his stuff every once in a while. I don't watch many of them, but there are channels that strictly talk about street related stuff. What's going on, beefs between different hoods and different artists and different drug, people that got reputations, right? You got The Quiet Room. I listen to their stuff every once in a while where they interview like guys from the hood that were making a lot of money in the streets these days. So back in their day, usually mostly in the 80s. So I'm well aware of it, but I've never been influenced by that kind of thing. Like, luckily, my pops was there who stayed on top of me. My mom's was there to stay on they were really, really strict parents with me. So I never been influenced by that kind of thing, but I was aware of it. I listened to it. I watched it. So I knew what was going on. It just never influenced me in a way where I started wanting to move like these guys. Like, I wanted to be like these guys. I never really wanted that. You know what I'm saying? Because I had a different level of respect for myself and my people. I wouldn't want to do what the things that they did. These guys, a lot of these guys were involved with murder, selling drugs. I have family relatives that's been involved in that kind of thing. But, a lot of them fell victim to that kind of lifestyle. So that's not something that I would be proud of being involved with. Yet people want to get on him for being influenced by the same thing a lot of people like him that's here, whether you're from over there, whether you're from here, whether you're from any part of any part of the world you're in. Okay? If you're influenced by it, you're influenced by it. And him saying it is no different from anybody else that's saying it. Do I think it's kind of cringy? Yeah. A guy like that who come from where he come from and becoming a boxer. I mean, I heard that he was involved in some things before boxing. I never really looked into it. You know why? Because I really don't care about that stuff. Some people really care about street cred and stuff like that. Some people, not even some, a lot of people really care about that kind of thing. But I'm like way past that way of thinking. They care about the streets. So they think it's corny when a guy like him, because he's so successful, says it. But they respect others that are not really living it, or even the ones that did live it, and they brag or boast about it like it was a good thing that they were doing that. You basically was destroying your own communities. And it might not have directly came from you. You might come you grew up in an environment where you didn't know anything else. So that's understandable. But at the end of the day, you're being looked at as a hero when you were destroying your community. My heroes are different from someone like, I would never have said what Joshua said, but I'm not Anthony Joshua. That's him. That's not me. But he's just like a lot of other people. There's a lot of other people that say that they're influenced by those kind of people. So I think it's funny. And I think it's funny because the way people are reacting to it. They don't like him saying it. But the next person in a long list of people especially in our community, say that they're influenced by those kind of people. But once he said it's weird, I don't know, you know? I mean, at least the guy ain't twerking.